The iron plates clanged in the early morning quiet at Gold's Gym. It was 1975, and bodybuilding was about to change forever. Two men were heading toward the same stage in South Africa. One was a champion who controlled every room he entered. The other was a giant who'd never lost his childhood hunger. Only one understood that the real battle wasn't about muscle. Arnold Schwarzenegger was going for his sixth Mr. Olympia title. Lou Ferrigno wanted to take it from him. But Arnold had a plan Lou never saw coming. He was going to win the contest before it even started. This isn't about who lifted more weight or ate cleaner meals. It's about the moment Arnold made Lou accept defeat at breakfast. The cameras were rolling for a film called Pumping Iron. That film would make Arnold a Hollywood star 2 years later. But in 1975, it captured something more valuable than fame. It showed exactly how a champion plays a different game. You're about to see how psychology beats size every single time. How a conversation over eggs can decide a title. How the most dangerous weapon backstage isn't confidence. It's certainty. Arnold didn't just want to beat Lou on stage. He wanted Lou to beat himself before the lights came on. And he knew exactly how to make that happen. There was one psychological move Arnold used that changed everything. A move that turned the biggest challenger into a nervous kid. Lou never stood a chance once Arnold started talking. Arnold grew up on a farm in Austria after the war. His father was a police chief who believed in discipline and control. Young Arnold woke before dawn a chop within freezing cold. He learned early that survival meant outworking everyone around you. Bodybuilding gave him a way out of that small village. It promised something bigger than snow and boredom and limitation. By his early 20s, Arnold had already won Mr. Universe. He moved to California where the sun never stopped shining. Gold's Gym in Venice became his kingdom by the early 70s. The gym was loud, crowded, full of characters and cigarette smoke. Arnold thrived in chaos because he knew how to command it. He understood that bodybuilding wasn't just about building your body. It was about building your presence in every space you entered. Lou Ferrigno grew up in Brooklyn, in a cramped apartment. He lost most of his hearing from an ear infection as a child. That isolation made him quiet, careful, always watching people's faces. He built his first barbell from a broomstick and cement cans. His father, Matty, pushed him hard in their dark basement gym. Lou was 6'5" and still growing at 17. By 1975, he weighed over 270 pounds of muscle. Magazine writers called him the next great hope of bodybuilding. He'd already won Mr. Universe twice before turning 24. But winning Mr. Olympia meant beating Arnold Schwarzenegger. And Arnold had held that title for 5 straight years. Lou trained in shadows while Arnold trained under California sunshine. Lou's gym had low ceilings and iron plates that echoed. Arnold's gym had open doors and the sound of the ocean. These weren't just different training environments. They were different worlds. One man had learned to weaponize his confidence and his voice. The other had learned to stay quiet and let his size speak. One man would use that difference to win before they posed. The other never saw it coming. Lou Ferrigno was the biggest man most people had ever seen. His arms measured over 22 inches cold. His back was wide enough to block out doorways. When he walked into a room, conversations stopped for a second. But Lou didn't have the swagger that usually came with size. He was soft-spoken, polite, still carrying that childhood shyness. His father, Matty, was a loud one, the one who planned everything. In the basement gym, Matty would watch every rep Lou performed. He'd correct his form, push him harder, remind him of the goal. The goal was always the same: dethrone Arnold Schwarzenegger. Lou wanted it too, but his reasons were quieter and deeper. He wanted to prove that the quiet kid could be champion, that you didn't need charm or charisma to win the Olympia, that muscle and discipline could speak louder than any joke. By early 1975, bodybuilding insiders were talking about Lou seriously. He had the size Arnold couldn't match and lines that looked sharp. Magazine spreads showed him posing under harsh lights in Brooklyn. The captions always said the same thing: the future is coming. But those photos also showed something else if you look close. Lou's face was always serious, always focused, never relaxed. He looked like a man trying to prove something to everyone. Arnold looked like a man who'd already proven it years ago. That difference mattered more than anyone realized at the time. When the pumping iron crew started filming, Lou felt the pressure immediately. The cameras followed him into his father's gym every morning. They filmed him grunting through sets while Matty shouted instructions. They captured the seriousness, the intensity, the quiet desperation. Lou didn't realize he was being framed as the underdog. He thought he was being framed as the inevitable next champion. But the film was telling a different story in every shot. Dark basement versus sunny boardwalk. Strict father versus easygoing friends. Tension versus ease. Chasing versus owning. Arnold understood something about Lou that Lou didn't see yet. He understood that Lou's hunger could become Lou's weakness. Arnold Schwarzenegger didn't just lift weights at Gold's Gym. He held court like a king in a castle made of iron. When he walked in, the energy shifted toward him automatically. People wanted to hear his stories, his jokes, his plans. He'd lean against the squat rack and talk for 20 minutes. Everyone listened because Arnold made you feel like you mattered. That was his gift, making people lean in while staying in control. By 1975, he'd been Mr. Olympia 5 times in a row. He'd beaten Sergio Oliva, Franco Columbu, and every other legend. At 28 years old, he was already talking about retirement. He wanted to move into movies, make real money, build something bigger. But the pumping iron film needed a finale, and Arnold needed one more title to make 6 sound legendary. So he came back for 1975, bigger and sharper than before. He weighed 237 pounds on contest day. That was heavier than he'd ever been while staying deeply defined. But the weight wasn't the weapon he planned to use most. Arnold had spent a decade learning how bodybuilding contests really worked. The judges didn't just score your muscles. They scored your presence. They scored how you carried yourself, how you moved, how you smiled. They scored confidence because confidence suggested you'd already won. Arnold knew that if he controlled the room, he controlled the outcome. So he made sure every space he entered became his stage. In the locker room at Gold's, he'd joke with everyone loudly. He'd compliment other bodybuilders in ways that sounded generous but weren't. "Looking good, my friend. Give it another month. You'll be perfect." The guys would smile and nod, not realizing what just happened. Arnold had planted a seed. "You're close, but not ready yet." He did this constantly, casually, like breathing. When the pumping iron cameras started rolling, Arnold understood them instantly. He knew how to look relaxed while still looking powerful. He knew when to joke and when to stare into the lens. He treated the film crew like friends, making them love him. Lou treated the cameras like intruders, making them hunt him. That difference shaped the entire story the film would tell. Arnold had one advantage Lou would never develop in time. He understood that winning wasn't about being the best on stage. It was about being the best in every moment leading up to it. And this was the foundation of the trick he was about to use. The film crew slipped into Gold's Gym quietly in early 1975. Director George Butler wanted to capture real bodybuilding, not fake drama. But he also wanted a story people would pay to watch. He needed a hero and a challenger, a climax and stakes. Arnold gave him exactly that without Butler even asking. Arnold understood movies better than any bodybuilder before him. He knew the camera loved confidence, humor, and a little arrogance. So he played up his charm and his certainty in every scene. He joked about his competitors while flexing in the mirror. He talked openly about psychological warfare and getting in people's heads. He made Butler's job easy by being the perfect charismatic villain. Lou, on the other hand, gave Butler something different. He gave him struggle, seriousness, and a father-son dynamic. The crew filmed Lou in that cramped Brooklyn basement gym. They filmed Lou Ferrigno pushing his son through brutal workouts. They filmed Lou's face, always tense, always focused on the goal. Butler framed it beautifully, the underdog fighting for his moment. But Arnold noticed something important during those early filming days. Lou wasn't comfortable with the cameras the way Arnold was. Lou seemed distracted by them, thrown off by their presence. Arnold adjusted his behavior whenever he noticed Lou watching. He'd get louder, funnier, more relaxed, always in contrast to Lou. If Lou was serious, Arnold cracked jokes. If Lou was quiet, Arnold told stories that filled a room. He wasn't doing it randomly. He was shaping the emotional climate. Arnold wanted everyone around him to feel one simple thing. Arnold was the inevitable winner, and Lou was still chasing. The Pumping Iron crew followed both men for months, leading up to November. They captured training sessions, conversations, moments of doubt and confidence. But the most important footage would come from South Africa. That's where the 1975 Mr. Olympia was being held in Pretoria. The film crew flew there with Arnold, Lou, and the other competitors. And that's where Arnold's psychological game reached its peak. Because Arnold understood something Lou didn't quite grasp yet. This wasn't just a bodybuilding contest anymore. It was a performance of the cameras and the judges and history. And performances are won by whoever controls the story being told. What happens when the world's most confident champion decides to target someone's uncertainty? Arnold had a habit of walking into any space like he owned it. Gold's Gym, the airport, the hotel lobby in Pretoria. It didn't matter. He moved slowly, smiled easily, made eye contact with everyone. He shook hands, remembered names, asked questions that made people feel special. This wasn't an accident. It was a strategy he perfected over years. If you control the room, you control how people see the contest. Lou Ferrigno walked into Gold's Gym for the first time in 1974. Arnold was there, mid-conversation with a group of bodybuilders. He looked up, saw Lou, and smiled like he'd been expecting him. There he is, the big guy from Brooklyn everyone's talking about. Arnold walked over, shook Lou's hand, welcomed him warmly. Then he said something Lou would remember for decades. "You look amazing. One more month and you'd be unbeatable." Lou smiled, said thank you, didn't catch the subtle knife in it. One more month. Meaning today, you're not ready yet. Arnold did this constantly, in small doses, like adding salt to water. He'd compliment you while simultaneously framing you as incomplete. "Great arms. When you get your legs up to match, watch out. Looking thick, my friend. Now just tighten up the waist a bit." Every compliment came with a condition that kept you chasing. The famous breakfast scene that ended up in Pumping Iron wasn't random. It happened the morning of the contest in their Pretoria hotel. Arnold, Lou, and Lou's parents sat down together to eat. The cameras were rolling, but it felt casual, almost friendly. Arnold was relaxed, joking, talking about the contest like it was already over. He looked at Lou and said the line that would become legendary. "If you had one more month, Lou, you'd be perfect for this." Lou's face stayed calm, but his father nodded slightly in agreement. Arnold kept going, building the psychological frame piece by piece. He mentioned that Lou had already won Mr. Universe twice. Then he said almost kindly, "If you retire now, what the hell? 2 universes." It sounded like reassurance, like he was giving Lou permission to accept second place. But really, it was Arnold deciding the outcome before they posed. Then came the moment that sealed everything. Arnold leaned back, smiled, and said it like he was remembering something. "Can you imagine? 6-time Mr. Olympia. 6 times. It's incredible." He said it in the present tense, like it had already happened. Lou's parents didn't correct him. They just listened. And in that silence, Arnold won a battle Lou didn't know they were fighting. He'd made Lou's family accept that Arnold was already champion. That breakfast wasn't about eggs or small talk or being friendly. It was Arnold turning the contest into a celebration he was hosting. But this wasn't the real trick. The real trick was deeper. Arnold's genius wasn't just confidence or charm, or even mind games. It was making Lou frame himself as a challenger instead of the equal. He did this so subtly that Lou never realized it was happening. By the time they reached South Africa, the emotional roles were set. Arnold was the champion defending his throne. Lou was the kid trying to prove he deserved to sit there. That framing changed everything about how they carried themselves. Arnold's trick had 3 parts, and they all worked together perfectly. First, he acted like Lou wasn't a real threat to him. He praised Lou constantly, but always with that not quite ready edge. This pushed Lou into trying harder, working more, losing his natural rhythm. When you're trying to prove yourself, you stop being yourself. Lou started training even longer hours leading up to the Olympia. He got leaner, harder, more shredded than he'd ever been before. Some people say he lost the fullness that made him dangerous. He was chasing an image of perfection Arnold had planted in his mind. Second, Arnold projected supreme calm, while Lou radiated intensity. Backstage in Pretoria, Arnold joked with other competitors and the crew. He leaned against walls, smiled for the cameras, looked totally at ease. Lou was in the corner doing pump-up sets, grunting, focused, sweating. Arnold even teased him about it. "Why so much noise, Lou?" Everyone laughed, and Lou looked embarrassed for just a second. That second mattered because it reinforced the emotional hierarchy. Arnold was a relaxed king. Lou was the anxious challenger working too hard. Judges noticed this. The film crew noticed this. Everyone in the room noticed. Third, Arnold controlled the narrative in every public moment. At the breakfast, at the weigh-in, backstage, even on stage later. He spoke with absolute certainty, as if the results were already decided. Lou spoke carefully, seriously, like someone hoping to be taken seriously. When you hope to be taken seriously, you've already lost the room. Arnold made Lou walk Arnold's path instead of creating his own. He made Lou play Arnold's psychological game instead of ignoring it. Lou could have walked in with quiet confidence and let his size speak. Instead, he walked in trying to earn respect Arnold had already claimed. The trick wasn't loud or obvious. It was 1,000 small adjustments. A tone of voice here, a look there, a joke that landed perfectly. By the time Lou stood under the stage lights in Pretoria, it was done. He wasn't competing against Arnold's body. He was competing against Arnold's certainty. And you can't outpose certainty with bigger arms. Arnold used silence more effectively than most people use words. When Lou would talk about his training or his goals, Arnold just smiled. That smile said everything. "I've already been where you're trying to go." But how did this trick play out on contest day? The backstage area in Pretoria was hot, crowded, and tense. Over 200 pounds of muscle in every direction you looked. The air smelled like tanning oil, sweat, and nervous energy. Lou was in one corner, doing his final pump-up sets. He was curling dumbbells, focusing hard, trying to get his biceps full. His father stood nearby, watching, offering quiet advice between reps. Arnold was across the room, leaning casually against the wall. He wasn't pumping up yet. He was talking, laughing, completely relaxed. The contrast was so obvious the cameras kept cutting between them. Lou, intense, isolated, working. Arnold, easy, social, already victorious in his body language. At one point, Arnold walked over toward Lou's area. He watched Lou finish a set, then touched his arm lightly. "You look so good, Lou," he said, smiling. But his tone had that same edge from breakfast. It didn't sound like genuine praise. It sounded like a judgment. It sounded like a teacher telling a student they'd done well enough. Lou nodded, said thanks, but his face tightened just slightly. You could see it in the pumping iron footage if you watch closely. That moment, Arnold's hand on his arm, that calm voice, threw him off-center, because it reminded Lou of the hierarchy Arnold had been building for months. Arnold wasn't his equal. Arnold was the standard Lou was being measured against. Lou's father saw the exchange, but didn't say anything to counter it. Maybe he believed Arnold's version of events by that point too. Maybe he thought pushing Lou harder would make things worse. Either way, Lou was alone in his own head with Arnold's voice echoing. Arnold went back to the side of the room and started his pump-up routine. He moved smoothly, efficiently, without the grunting intensity Lou had shown. He looked like a man going through a familiar routine before an easy win. The other competitors watched both men and made their own judgment. Some rooted for Lou. They wanted to see the giant beat the king. But most of them felt what the judges would feel an hour later. Arnold had already won this contest in every way that mattered first. The stage lights, the audience, the actual posing. That was just confirmation. Arnold's trick had worked because he made Lou fight the wrong battle. Lou was fighting to prove he was good enough. Arnold was simply reminding everyone he'd already proven it 6 times before. This was the moment Arnold's trick reached its peak. The stage in Pretoria was bright, hot, and unforgiving under the lights. The audience filled the theater, cameras flashing from every angle. The over 200-pound class lineup, Arnold, Lou, Serge Nubret, and others. Lou looked massive, shredded, every muscle fiber visible under his skin. Arnold looked thick, confident, and completely in control of his body. When the music started and the posing began, the difference was clear. Arnold moved like he'd done this 1,000 times before, because he had. His transitions were smooth, his poses hit perfectly, his smile never dropped. He knew exactly when to flex, when to hold, when to relax. Lou's posing was powerful but less fluid, less comfortable. He hit his poses hard, showing his size and lines. But he rushed slightly between them, like he was trying to prove something quickly. Judges don't just score muscle. They score how you carry that muscle. They score presence, confidence, and whether you look like a champion. Arnold looked like a champion who was enjoying his final victory lap. Lou looked like a challenger who was working hard to earn respect. That difference decided the contest before the scores were even tallied. The audience cheered for both men. Lou had plenty of fans. But the energy around Arnold was different. It felt like people were watching a legend secure his place in history. Watching Lou felt like watching someone's future potential, not their present dominance. After the individual posing, they did the final comparison round. Arnold and Lou stood side by side under the lights. Arnold smiled at the judges, looked relaxed, hit his poses effortlessly. Lou stayed serious, focused, hitting everything with maximum intensity. At one point, Arnold leaned over and whispered something in Lou's ear. No one knows exactly what he said. The cameras didn't catch it. But Lou's face changed for just a second, a flicker or something. Maybe doubt, maybe frustration, maybe just exhaustion from fighting uphill. When the judges made their final decision, Arnold won the over 200 class. Franco Columbu won the under 200 class. Then came the overall Mr. Olympia decision between Arnold and Franco. It was close. 4 judges for Arnold, 3 for Franco. But Arnold had what he came for, his 6th Mr. Olympia title. Lou placed 3rd overall, behind both Arnold and Franco. He stood on stage accepting his trophy, trying to smile, but you could see the weight of it in his shoulders. He'd brought his best package, worked harder than ever before, and Arnold had still made it look easy, because Arnold hadn't beaten Lou with muscle or conditioning. He'd beaten Lou emotionally before Lou ever stepped into the lights. He'd made Lou believe the contest was about earning Arnold's respect, instead of making Arnold prove he still deserved the crown. That's the genius of the trick. It made Lou fight himself. Arnold Schwarzenegger's genius trick wasn't a single moment or line. It was making Lou Ferrigno play Arnold's psychological game from the start. He framed himself as the inevitable winner, and Lou as a hopeful challenger. He did this through tone, timing, and 1,000 small confident gestures. By the time they stood on stage in Pretoria, the emotional script was written. Arnold was a champion graciously defending his throne one last time. Lou was the kid who'd come close, but wasn't quite ready yet. That framing lived in the judges' minds, the audience's minds, Lou's mind. Bodybuilding contests are judged on muscle, symmetry, and conditioning, but they're also judged on presence, confidence, and who looks like a champion. Arnold understood that the mental battle mattered as much as the physical one. He made Lou accept him as a standard instead of the opponent. And once Lou accepted that, the contest was already decided. Lou Ferrigno would go on to become the Incredible Hulk on television. He'd build a career, a legacy, and eventually make peace with 1975. He'd say later that he didn't believe in being psyched out, that if you're ready, no mind games can stop you. Maybe that's true, or maybe it's what you say when you've learned the lesson. Arnold would use pumping iron to launch a Hollywood career that changed his life. He'd become an action star, a governor, a living legend, and he'd always talk openly about his psychological warfare tactics. He never hid what he did. He was proud of it, because in his mind, using your brain was just as valid as using your body. The 1975 Mr. Olympia wasn't the closest contest Arnold ever won, but it was the one where his mental game was most visible, where the cameras caught him doing what he'd done for years in private, making his rivals beat themselves before the battle even started. In 1975, Arnold didn't just win the Olympia. He won the room, the film, and the story that would be told forever.